So I want you to imagine with me that you wake up one morning to find your site bombarded by thousands of transactions. You're thrilled to see a sudden surge. You think it's the result of all of your hard work finally paying off. But you look closer and you see that all of these purchases are small, and the vast majority are declined for some reason. You realize that they're fraudulent. At first, you're not sure if it's a big deal. The charges are small after all. But then you start getting calls from customers about purchases that they never made. When the calls have subsided, you start adding up all of the chargebacks and the authorization fees, and you realize that this month's profits, and maybe even this year's profits, are down the drain. Unfortunately, you are not alone. Businesses of all sizes continue to be the victims of card testing. To begin, let's define what card testing is and how you can protect yourself against this type of situation. Fraudsters use card testing to determine the validity of a stolen, fraudulently obtained card. They could attempt thousands of purchases on an e-commerce website, often using a botnet for speed and scale. If a transaction is approved, they know they can continue to use this card. If a card has already been canceled by its owner, authorizations will be declined, and the fraudster will move on to the next card. Despite these transactions being declined by the issuer, your business may still suffer significant financial harm for this activity. This is because every attempted authorization carries a cost, and this can quickly add up and create considerable financial burden for your business. For those operating on tight margins, such costs can be especially devastating. Our risk analysts have identified card testing as a prevalent type of fraud affecting small and medium businesses in 2023. Card testing is one of the most impactful types of fraud for small and mid-sized businesses. Unlike regular instances of chargebacks, the serious effects of a card testing attack can even temporarily prevent you from processing online and put you out of business. Fraudsters deliberately target businesses that are unlikely to have an internal fraud team. By the time you're aware that you've been hit by card testing, it might already be too late. Our risk analysts have found that a card testing attack typically looks like this. On day one, the fraudster submits thousands of transactions. Approved orders could start to ship out, resulting in lost product. On days 2 through 20, in severe cases, card issuers could become aware of what's happening and could ask the merchant's acquirer to shut down processing. The merchant must supply proof of a mitigation strategy to begin processing transactions again. This could even potentially occur the same day as the attack. The merchant could be charged significant authorization fees by their gateway and acquirer. For example, I've seen a merchant who usually pays $40 a month in authorization fees that saw a charge for tens of thousands of dollars. On days 2 through 120, chargebacks start to roll in with the associated fees because the transactions were not reversed during the attack. And then throughout the process and in the future, the merchant experiences brand and reputational damage due to their customers' accounts being compromised. Now that we've learned what card testing fraud is and what an attack could look like, let's look at 5 tips from our risk analyst on protecting against card testing. The first one, perform risk reviews. Keep a close eye on your traffic and review transactions on a regular basis. Fraudsters often target the point when a cardholder adds payment methods to their online accounts. Be sure to evaluate your web setup to ensure plugins, apps, and other potential points of weakness are up to date and secure. If you accept donations or other custom payment amounts, set a minimum. In a card testing attack, fraudsters aim to validate if a card is good without the cardholder noticing and reporting it. The smaller the charge, the less likely it is to attract attention or result in a chargeback. Transactions can often be $5 or less. Set a minimum value that is as high as possible while still being appropriate for most donors. Be vigilant and identify anomalies early on. If you see an unexpected spike in average daily transactions, look into it. A sudden increase in the number of card declines can signal that your business is being targeted. Have a variety of velocity tools that track not only transaction totals, but also other specific data elements like email, IP address, device fingerprinting, and so on. Consider implementing some type of CAPTCHA into your checkout flow. For those who aren't familiar, a CAPTCHA is a test that differentiates between humans and automated software, also known as bots. By implementing CAPTCHA challenges, you can stop automated bots from processing large volumes of transactions, thus limiting the amount of card testing that can be done. For example, when you sign up for an email account, you might see a CAPTCHA that asks you to identify certain objects and images. This is because bots are not as good as recognizing objects and images as humans, and by making users pass this test, the website can confirm that the user is a human and not a bot. CAPTCHA technology has improved in recent years, and it can now be incorporated into the checkout process with much less inconvenience for customers than in the past. And last but not least, make sure you have a fraud tool in place. A fraud protection tool on your website is important because it helps prevent fraudulent transactions and can protect your business from financial loss and reputational damage. To quickly recap, remember to perform regular risk reviews. Keep an eye on traffic and review transactions. Evaluate potential points of weakness and set a minimum amount for custom payments. Identify anomalies early on and consider implementing CAPTCHA. Make sure you have a fraud protection tool in place.